Hello, and I welcome you to another amazing edition of the program Weekly Digest from the table of Happy Home Counseling Foundation. As you know, this program was put in place by Happy Home Counseling Foundation to educate both the singles and the married on relationship matters. My name is Toluwalade Arijeniwa, and I'm so glad to have you guys on the program today. And as you know, last week we began with the topic commitment in a marital relationship. Today we shall continue with the topic as we shall be looking at commitment to responsibilities in marriage. And we already have our father in the Lord in the studio ready to do justice to the topic we have for today. Let's join him in the studio.
Once again, I welcome you to this episode. We shall continue where we stopped last week. We started talking about commitment in marital relationship. And this week, we'll be talking about commitment to family responsibility. Like I said last week, that marriage is about commitment. And so today, we are looking at commitment to marital responsibility. By way of a definition, I want to say responsibility can simply be defined as a state of being accountable for something, or in other way around, a state of having a duty to deal with something or to perform a task. When you have the obligation to perform a task, it becomes your responsibility. Marriage must be seen as acceptance to taking responsibilities. As husband and wife, we must know that as soon as you accept to go into marital relationship with somebody, you already have a responsibility to take. For any marriage or relationship to work out fine, to work out in a very good way, there must be commitment to the responsibilities attached to marriage. Some of the responsibilities of husband and wife in marital relationship is what I want to talk about now. But let me first say that family responsibility by husband and wife has to do with maintaining commitment to the numerous things that they have to do. And I want to say that we cannot exhaust all the responsibility that husband and wife have to be committed to in this short video. Anyway, we are going to talk about some of them. But let me first establish the fact that there are a lot of responsibilities that has to do with husband and wife together. What do I mean? A lot of responsibility that they must carry out together. But at the same time, there are particular responsibilities that are peculiar to husband, and there are some that it is the wife that we have to hold responsible. So let us start by talking about the responsibility that are peculiar to the husband. And the first one I'm going to talk about is being family leader. Family leadership is not a contestable role in a marriage or in a society, in a relationship. It is the husband that is expected to play the leadership role for whatever that may mean. Part of it is the reason why we usually refer to a new husband as bridegroom. That is the one that will groom the bride. He's talking about responsibility. To groom is to train, to clean, to make fit for a certain role or responsibility. This means if you have a wife as a husband that is not good at doing certain things, it is your responsibility as husband to groom your wife, to make her fit, to clean her up and make her able. She doesn't know how to dress well. Show her how to do it. She doesn't know how to cook, teach her or train her or send her for training on how to cook. If she doesn't know how to do one thing or the other, it is your responsibility to groom her. If all you have to do or all you know how to do is to complain and complain about these things, then you are missing out a vital responsibility of yours as a leader of a home. As the leader of the family, every man must be ready to take overall responsibility for whatever happens in that family. You are the chairman of your own local government, which is your immediate family. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 3 that now I want you to realize that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of every woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. And don't forget, when God visited the Garden of Eden, he held Adam responsible. He was the one that God asked, "Where art thou?" God wanted to know what is happening in your family. God did not ask Eve that question. It was Adam that was held responsible. So as a man, it is part of your leadership role to ensure or to know that you will be held accountable for overall running of what is happening in your family. It is a responsibility to love. During your marital vow that we were talking about last week, you vow to love. So when you vow to do something, it becomes a responsibility. So it is your responsibility to love your wife. If you are not ready to love her, it's better you don't marry her. It is part of your responsibility as a man to make your wife happy. It's a responsibility. Whatever that she is going through, you have to be there. You have to support. You have to make her happy in whichever way you can make her happy. Even if it has to do with giving her money, buying gifts for her, or listening to her. Make her happy. Just assure you carry out that responsibility. Every man also have the responsibility to honor and respect their wives. Not only you to assure that she is respected in the society. To support her, you have that responsibility as well. And also, every man have the responsibility to protect his wife from anything at all, from danger, from emotional damage. You have that responsibility to protect your wife. Another responsibility that we'll be talking about, which is a very big one, is that every man is expected to be committed to family provision. What do I mean by that? You are a family man. It is your responsibility to make sure there is food, to make sure there is shelter, to make sure there is clothes for your wife and your children. Remember, you went to bring somebody's daughter as your wife. Our parents hold the responsibility of taking good care of her before you married her. Now you can't bring her into suffering. And when you bring her, you brought her to your own house, you impregnated her to produce children for you. You have the responsibility to make sure there is a house for all of you to live in. There is food on the table, to also make sure they have clothes to wear. So you can't shy away from that responsibility. When you fail to provide food, when you fail to provide a place to live and clothes for your family, it means nothing than you are not responsible. Every man must know that it is an obligation to buy clothes for your wife and children. The fact that your wife is working and is able to buy clothes for herself, for the children, even for you in some occasion, does not mean it is not your primary responsibility to provide these things. The woman is just rendering helping hand. So get it clear that it is your work, and you will need to be committed to that so that you can be seen as a responsible man. Just as your wife can support you in your duty, so also you have responsibility to support her, and you have to be committed to that as a responsibility to support your wife. That you are back from your place of work and your wife is in the kitchen does not mean you cannot step into the kitchen to assist your wife, especially when you have not have grown-up children, or you don't have house help and you don't have people that can support her. Remember, support her in her own responsibility, and you have to be committed to that. Remember, she's your wife and not a slave. And let me quickly talk about the peculiar responsibilities of the wives. Part of what the Bible makes us to understand, which is very important in marital responsibility, is that wives should learn to submit. Every wife must submit. We were talking about the authority of a man as the head, overall head of the family. So every woman must know that she also have obligation to be submissive to the husband. You have to be careful as a wife to make sure you are a good follower. Your husband have the final say. You can be consulted. I'm not saying you cannot be consulted. You can discuss together, but the final decision belongs to the husband because he is the head of the family, and do not try to contend that. Give the leadership role to him, otherwise there will be problem. Remember, like I said earlier, it was Adam God held responsible to what was happening in his family. He said, Adam, where are you? He was there. So be committed to allowing your husband to take the leadership role as a wife. Every good wife must be committed to cooking food for the family. It is not an option. It is a responsibility. If you don't know how to cook, go and learn it. It is a responsibility. Many times I have seen husbands carrying cooler here and there, wives carrying cooler here and there. It is your responsibility to cook in that house, to provide food for the family. And wives must be committed to that. You are no longer in your parents' house where you can say, I'm not used to this. You are in husband's house, and you have to be committed to your responsibility. Another one is that as wife, you must be committed to satisfying your husband sexually. See, sometimes your disposition to this responsibility can dictate or can suggest how responsible your husband will be. There are a lot of wives, when they are not responsible sexually, they push their husband outside to do some other things. And let me quickly say that you have to provide him you have to provide for him sexually. And that provision includes the way you look, the way you carry yourself. You must be an image of sexual attraction to your husband. It is an obligation. A lot of women, immediately they are married, come and look at the way they dress. They dress as if nothing happened anymore, or nothing matters anymore. You must be able to package yourself very well so that you can be an object of sexual attraction to your husband. You owe him that obligation. We are going to talk more about it next week when we are talking about romantic and sexual commitment. Let me just stop there on that for now. Another one is that cleanliness of the house or the environment or the family. Wives must be committed to the cleanliness of the house. Don't forget that I said it earlier at the beginning of this video that yes, you can take the responsibility together. But when we talk about commitment, we are talking about who is to be held responsible. So when you enter a house and the place is dirty, the woman of that house should be held responsible. That is our own responsibility to ensure. We are not talking about who is doing it. All of them can do it together, but it is an obligation for women to take note of. And there are some obligations that are combined responsibilities. Let me mention a few of them. Number one, the two of you as husband and wife have the responsibility to ensure that your children are well educated and trained in a godly manner. Not just by sending them to schools, but by ensuring that they also learn home training, give them home training, and give them godly character. You both owe that responsibility. And another one that has to do with the combined responsibilities, that the two of you must act as role model to your children. They are looking at you. They are watching you the way you do it. If you do it right, they will do it right. If you don't do it right, they will fail as well. So whatever your children does represent who you are, represent the kind of training you give them. So you both owe the obligation of giving them good training, home training, manner training, and godly training. So you cannot run away from there. Another one is that the two of you must manage the family resources together. What do I mean by family resources? The money that the husband is earning, the money that the wife is earning, they are combined to become family resources because you have family obligations. There are major projects that you have to do together. It doesn't make sense when the wife is building house separately, the husband is building his own separately, and everybody is buying his own car. You can do these things together. Combine effort to build house, to buy car, to invest together. These are joint obligations. And you also have the obligation of showing respect and support to yourselves. Respect yourselves and support yourselves. Just as husband will support the wife must also support the husband, and you must be consciously committed to these responsibilities. If you are not committed to it, there will be problem. Then you also have the obligation of making decisions together. Make decisions together. The husband, like I said earlier, may have the final say, but that does not mean you should not discuss the issue together. Husband, you should learn how to consult your wives. Even if he is not as brilliant as you can never be Mr. Know-it-all at all times. She is a major stakeholder in the family affairs. Even if he is jobless and you are bringing all the money, consult together. That is why your 1 + 1 in marriage is equal to 1 and not 2. Remember, the two of you have come together to become one. Then finally, today, let me just say that this obligation is not the least, even if I'm putting it the last. You have to be committed to praying for yourselves. Pray for yourselves. It won't take anything away from you. It will only add value to your lives, to your future, to your family. Pray for yourselves. Apart from the family gathering to pray together, at your own leisure time, create time to pray for your husband. Husband, create time to pray for your wife. When you do this thing, you have the hope that your home will be better, things will be rosy, and God will be involved in the affairs of your family. Today, let me round it off by giving this advice. Do not forget that marriage is all about commitment. And the commitment has to do with responsibilities. If you are not ready for responsibilities, don't marry. If you are married, then you have to be responsible. Adam was trying to shift blame. He was trying to shift blame to Eve, yet he was not spared. So don't try to bring up excuses in place of your responsibility. This week, I want to appreciate you for listening. Don't forget to like our video and to share with others. You may be helping a relationship. God bless you.
Yes, guys, just as you have heard our Father in the Lord mentioned on the program today, if you're married, you have to be responsible, or if you're planning to get married anytime soon or later on, you have to also plan to be responsible. And with that, we have come to the end of today's edition of the program Weekly Digest from the table of Happy Home Counseling Foundation. I hope you have been able to learn one thing or the other on how to be committed in your relationship. Till I come your way again same time next week, week. Don't forget to like our videos, subscribe, and share. You don't know, you might be helping a person on how to go about a particular issue in their relationship. Next week, we are going to be looking at being committed in a romantic relationship. We are going to be discussing a lot more on commitment next week. Until then, I am Toluwalade Arijenua saying do have a lovely weekend and stay safe. Bye for now.